Hello, everyone, and welcome to our special one-off webinar with Student Care and Wellbeing to talk about some resources to support students and families during this COVID-19 pandemic. As a reminder, I am Allison Beasley, and I'm our coordinator of parent and family programs here at the university. We are excited to be joined by a familiar face today. Jeremy Henderson is our Director of Student Care and Wellbeing here at the university. He has joined us on a couple of webinars before, so he is an expert at these webinars. We are doing this a little differently, obviously, while working from home, so it's a little bit of a different setup, but we are still just as grateful for Jeremy joining us today. So we are excited to have you here, Jeremy, and I guess the first thing that we will just ask is, can you tell us exactly what is Student Care and Wellbeing and how do you assist students, especially during this time of limited operations at the university?
Yeah, thanks, Allison. And again, I'm happy to be here, and it's great to be speaking with all of you today. Student care and well-being, in essence, what we try to do is just help connect students to resources. That's a big part of what we do. We're a part of the Office of the Dean of Students. And so if there is a student that is in distress in some way, is going through a crisis, I mean, that could be health related, it could be financial, relational, and they just don't really know where to turn. They don't know what the resources are that the university may have to offer. And we're sort of that connecting point where a student can come in, talk to a real life person who cares about them, who will listen to them, and then point them in the right direction. So we're sort of a problem solving group, in terms of identifying resources, helping the student to develop a plan, and then, feel like they've got a next step. They know the next steps in terms of where to go to hopefully, deal with whatever the issue is. A lot of what we do, is just helping students and families navigate processes at the university if a student is going to need a medical withdrawal. And so that's offered through student health. It's not through our office, but sometimes there can be questions or confusion about how everything works. And so we can just work with the student, work with the family, just to help answer those questions so that they feel things are a little organized and they know what to do from there. And you mentioned, this is a very unique time, obviously, for most people in the world right now with the COVID-19 pandemic going on. And so while there are obviously some changes to exactly how we do what we do, we are still doing everything that we normally do. So that is something I would just want to put out to any student, to any family, anyone who is supporting a student. At Student Care and Wellbeing, we are up and running. We are not physically at our offices at the Ferguson Center on campus, just like many students are not on campus but are spread out everywhere. But we are still available. So we're answering our office phone, which is on our website, but it is 205-348-2461, 205-348-2461. That's our office phone. So we're answering our office phone. We're answering email. So I'm coming to you right now from my new office that I have transformed a corner of my bedroom into. So we are available to answer phones, to respond to emails, to do those same things. Help a student that might be in distress in some way, who might have a problem that they just don't know where to turn, to come alongside that student, help them find a resource, get a plan so that they can move on and be as successful as they can be during this semester and this time.
So we know that working from home, obviously, as many of you have your students at home with you right now, it looks quite a bit different, and there may be different situations that you didn't quite plan for or prepare for. And we know there's a lot of unexpected things that are happening, and we are grateful that Student Care and Wellbeing is still here. Jeremy, can you tell us, are there other campus resources that you would want students to know about during this time as well? Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I think that is the important thing to remember. So this is true of our office, but really any office on campus that supports students, we are still up and running. The university is open. We are just open in a different way. So Student Care and Wellbeing, we are doing our thing. We are accessible to students. If a student is in need of academic support, the Capstone Center is available to help connect with students, to help them work with their classes, to fine tune things as we get on the home stretch of this semester. The Counseling Center, even if a student is not here, they may be experiencing some mental health concerns. They can call the Counseling Center, speak with a therapist, consult about what is going on. Depending on where the student is located, there is a possibility of some telehealth type services, but some licensing rules get in there depending on what state the student is in and what state the therapist is in. But regardless of all that, the Counseling Center is available, to talk with students, to consult with them, to help point them in the right direction about some plans if they're having some mental health concerns during this time. The Women and Gender Resource Center, I just heard an update from them yesterday, and they are still, again, doing the same thing, just contact with clients, contact with students, still providing the resources that they need, Title IX services. So all of our university support resources that are normally in place, we are still up and active and helping students. It's happening in a different way, obviously, because of all that is going on.
Yeah,
and I do want one thing. Sorry, Allison. One thing I do want to mention specifically, and I can't believe I left this off, in terms of just for student care and well-being specifically, I think probably one of the most common ways that we have been helping students during this time is we have some emergency financial assistance.
Yeah.
And so we have a fund that is called the Tied Together Student Support Fund. So obviously, like so many around the world and in this country, there is an economic impact with COVID-19. A lot of our families, a lot of our students, have lost income, have lost jobs. And so it's a difficult financial time. And so we have an application process where a student that is in financial distress can apply for those funds. And we have one of our case managers, again, shout out to Dana Williams, who's doing a fantastic job just processing through all these applications and helping to get financial assistance to students. Do you mind if I share a screen with you, Dana, for our folks to look at? I'm going to just show on our website to show folks exactly where to go to apply for those funds. And also, if you are in a position where you're doing okay financially right now and you might want to donate to the fund to help other students, there's an opportunity to do that as well. So actually, I don't know if I'll be able to share the screen.
I think we should be able to now.
Fix it for us. Okay.
We're learning on the fly with technology.
All right.
These are our working from home chronicles.
That's right.
We're learning things all the time. Shout out to our OIT team who is keeping us knowledgeable about all things.
Yeah, thanks, Allison, for setting that up. And so basically, this is just the Student Care and Wellbeing website that I just wanted to direct folks to. So it's bamacares.ua.edu. And if you go to our homepage, or if you go to the University of Alabama website at ua.edu, you can put in Student Care and Wellbeing. You get to the front page of our website, you can see this little square, this button down here on the bottom corner of the website, Assistance Application. And so again, you'll see two red buttons. So we talk about the Tied Together Fund, and then the first button, like I said, is just an opportunity to support other students who might be in need. There's a donation opportunity there. And then what I really wanted to show everyone is right here under how to apply for assistance. Students can apply for financial assistance. The application is only takes a few minutes to fill out. We have some limitations to what we can do, but we do want to, again, try to support our students in any way that we can. So this is probably the thing that is keeping us the busiest right now, is trying to help those students who are experiencing the economic impact of this, so that they can have some of their basic needs met, get the rent paid, while still focusing on finishing out this semester strong academically. So I'll get my screen out of there and come back. So
that is fantastic. So families, if you are in a position where you are able to help others, that's obviously a great way, because that money is going to go directly to students and their needs. I'll again give a shout out to Dana for going through those applications, and we know that's got to be a lot going on right now. And so students and families, if you also need a little bit of assistance, or you just don't quite know what you need, we definitely encourage you to reach out to Student Care and Wellbeing, and especially that Tied Together Support Fund. You were talking about some of our telehealth options, and I have recently been in communication with our student health center and pharmacy, and I wanted to give a shameless plug for them that they are still open. Their hours are on their website, because I don't have those memorized. I'm so sorry, Student Health Center. But if students do need some telehealth, if they are not here and they still need an appointment, they can do that via telehealth. All they would have to do is call the Student Health Center. It's going to be 205-348-0386. And they'll do a quick screening just to make sure that students aren't exhibiting any COVID-19 symptoms. And then they can make that telehealth appointment. Or if they are still here in Tuscaloosa, they can make that appointment in person. They have some precautions to make sure that our students, faculty, and staff here on campus if you are still here in town and you need medical care, they are still open. They're going to do quick screenings for folks. They are also offering pharmacy curbside pickup, which if students are still in town and need their prescriptions, they can do that. They won't have to go through a screening if they're not coming into the building. It's super quick. They can just call ahead, let them know that they are on their way, and let them know that they are there. And then staff will bring that prescription out to them. So it's super easy. So Student Health Center and Pharmacy is working really hard to make sure that our students, both still here in town and all across the country and the world, are making sure that they get the medical help that they need, either via telehealth or in person. So that's my shameless plug for them.
Yeah, and along those lines, Alice, I know one of the things that we were going to talk about is just giving folks some thoughts or some things to think about in terms of, how to support their students, supporting themselves during this weird COVID-19 period that we are in. I think that's maybe a takeaway from this entire conversation, is that, while so many of us are isolating to some degree or following social distancing, that to still encourage everyone, all of us, to ask for help and to utilize resources as we need them. Because I think that's a key thing, that, we can get in our homes and feel a little bit cut off, from the University of Alabama campus, from your own communities, and just to remember that there still are so many resources that are available. They're just available in a different way, and so encouraging folks to reach out and to utilize that help that is there. I know I've talked with a few therapists here in Tuscaloosa, where I live, and that normally are serving students, and one in particular was talking about how she is, she is now busier, since we started all this than before, because she's been able to start doing some video sessions, doing some telehealth type sessions, and so obviously a lot of folks have been dealing with anxiety over everything that has been going on. Individuals who might already be struggling with depression, to maybe to spend more time alone, more time in the house, they're just starting to experience some greater struggles, and so. That was something that she mentioned to me. It's great to remind folks that, the healthcare community, resources at the University of Alabama, community resources, while many of them, are not able to function, there are many who are able to function. It's just not in the normal way. And so, again, kind of a segue into that sort of, hey, how do we now live, is to just to remember to reach out and to ask for help. There are many people that are still up and running who want to help one another.
Yeah, we may be under limited business operations. It certainly looks a bit different than being in our offices here or there on campus. I'm making the most of my dining room, as you can see. And if your student, I'll give another shout out to our OIT team. Our student, if your student is using Zoom a lot, they make Zoom backgrounds so they can still stay connected to campus and feel like they're there on campus. But Jeremy, what other advice or thoughts, suggestions do you have for parents and families to support their students and promote their own health and wellness? Because like I said earlier, this is a completely new situation. A lot of families, maybe it is a completely different situation. Your student may be home and there's a lot of people in the house and there's a lot going on. So what suggestions do you have for that?
Yeah, and I hope this is helpful for folks. Some of it may not be super profound, but sometimes unless we stop and think about it, we can may not think about some things. So hopefully this is helpful. I think one of the main things, that I have found personally in my transition working home, and also in just some reading and getting some good tips, from other healthcare folks, one of the biggest changes, so many of our routines and structures in life have been turned upside down. So many folks who are used to going into an office or going to work, we're told to stay at home. And so I think, one thing to think about is that we have to be more responsible for establishing a new routine. Yeah. And I think, and that works in two different directions, I think. Someone like me, I actually really like, kind of improvising. I don't really like a lot of structure. I've told people I can get very accustomed to being at home and just kind of going in and out of my bedroom office and doing my thing. I'm coming to you right now in shorts and barefoot, so I like the laid back working at home thing. I have a good friend who I think that has been the most distressing thing for him. As he said, I am a person who likes my rhythm. He likes his routine, he likes his structure, and he has felt so much anxiety just because all of those structures and rhythms that he is used to have been disrupted. And so, just to establish, even if it's just, like you and I have talked about, I go to the same spot and that is my new office. I still follow work hours, so just creating my own structure, creating a new routine in the midst of all of this kind of upheaval that is going on. I think that can be a helpful thing. I think even just having, having goals that you want to accomplish, and not being a slave. Sometimes we can get down on ourselves if we don't accomplish everything on the to-do list, but just different things that we can do to establish that structure. And I mentioned that this can go in two directions. I think the other side of that, I think for some of us who are now, working at home or doing school at home, our workspace and our play space and our rest space and all these different spaces are now the same space, so we can easily work 2 times more than what we were doing before and not take good care of ourselves if we don't have a set, log off time on the computer, or a shutdown time, or if we don't plan time for breaks. So I think establishing structure that helps us stay on task, and establishing structure that also helps us take time to rest and take care of ourselves and for others, I think that's pretty important. Go ahead, Allison.
All of those things.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things I also think is important, in addition to the structure, I mentioned, taking time for others, obviously relationships are so important. And sort of like we were saying before with resources, hopefully we can all be connecting with our different communities. We're just doing it in a different way.
Right.
I have 4 kids. I told Allison, I think all 4 of them have come in this morning and asked me math questions and school questions and that sort of thing. So going back to the boundaries and structure thing, I know that's sometimes difficult when we're working from home. But, it's obviously so important just to maintain connection to our communities, to find ways to do that. I have a small group kind of meeting that I'm a part of. And so we are accustomed to meeting in person, but we use Zoom, and we meet on Wednesday nights at 8:30. So I'm able to see faces and stay caught up with people and stay connected and still feel that sense of being a part of a larger community outside of the people in my house. So just pursuing relationships and being intentional about it, I think, is another important thing, so that we don't feel the isolation so heavily. Right. And again, I can't stress enough, I think part of that connecting with resources and relationships is asking for help. If we are particularly alone, or if you're having trouble finding that community to connect with, there are counseling resources, there are therapists, there are various sorts of ways. Again, and for most of our students, they are better at this than we are. I mean, they're already connecting through social media, so again, this is probably not that helpful. I'm not a big social media person, so it has been more of an adjustment for me. And, but just to find those alternative ways to connect to our communities is important.
I think that everybody's doing these TikTok challenges, and so I've found great joy in watching those and having a break from work for a few minutes to watch some of those entertaining videos. I would echo all of that, and certainly you know more about this than I do, Jeremy, but I think it's just important for students and families to find their routine, but to give each other grace in this time as well, and just to be flexible with each other and be forgiving to yourself. Self-care is really important, maybe even more so important than it is in a normal spring semester. We know there's a lot going on as we get towards the end of the spring semester, but giving each other some grace and flexibility and just kindness goes very far in the midst of a global pandemic. So I am just really thankful for all the resources that UA provides. And I would definitely recommend for students and families to check out healthinfo.ua.edu. We are continuously updating that with information and resources for students. I know there's several on there about social distancing, and make sure you're following those guidelines, as well as things like coping with stress from our counseling center. So there's lots of tips and tricks on there, as well as just answers and information for questions that folks may have. So there's additional resources on there as well.
Yeah, and if I could, I'll just add one more thing that I'd love to leave folks with. And again, I hope it's helpful. If it's not, you can throw it away. But I think for me personally, and for a lot of people that I've talked with, something that has been especially helpful during this time is to look for the unexpected gifts that this shift in our world has brought about. And I'm not trying to suggest, let's stick our heads in the sand, like the ostrich, and ignore or be dishonest about some of the real tough difficulties that are going on for many people. I'm reminded of, there's a story, I'll be really fast. There's a kind of a Zen story, and it's fairly popular, so folks may have heard of it, where there is a monk being chased by a tiger, and he ends up scrambling off a cliff to escape the tiger. Have you heard this one, Allison?
I have not.
You've not heard it? And so he's grabbing on to this root in the side of the mountain, and then looks below, and there's another hungry tiger below him as the root is starting to give way. So tiger above, tiger below. And then you see there's these two little mice that climb on and start to chew at the root. So the monk is in trouble, but then he notices this big, juicy strawberry that is growing out of the side of the mountain there. And in the midst of all this, he stops and says, and he eats the strawberry and says, what a delicious strawberry. So I suppose there are many applications from this story, but the one I take away, right, is in the middle of everything to be able to, stop in the moment, right, and see if there are some unexpected gifts or surprises that we can just enjoy in a moment that might be difficult in many other ways. And so, so again, I don't think we're dishonest about the stress of COVID-19, some of the real fears, some of the economic pressures, again, so much that is turned upside down. But, again, just as an example for me and my family, I have found that I have an extra hour or so a day because I'm not commuting to and from work.
Right.
I have turned that extra time in the morning to just a time to get out and walk. Here in Alabama, the weather has been very nice. And so I've just been able to walk and take some time again to care for myself and for my soul. And that's been a really good thing. I have 4 kids in the house with me, as I said, and I have had some extra time over lunch times to just stop and have some good intentional conversations that we probably wouldn't have had. So again, if we don't dismiss everything that is going on, but there can be some strawberries in the middle of all this. And so we have to be honest. We can call the hard stuff what it is, but then to receive the gifts that the day offer as well. And I think that is a very helpful thing, has been for me.
I think that's great. And I think that's great advice for families, is just to look for the good things in the day and to focus on those, because there's so many other things that we could focus on. And so we have to be able to change our mindset and choose to focus on the good. So, well, Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us. We know that there's a lot going on, obviously, as we work from home, and we are just so appreciative of your help and your resources for folks. Again, the Student Care and Wellbeing website is bamacares.ua.edu. Phone number is 205-348-2461. Great.
Got it.
So if you want to reach out, if you are able, donate to the Tied Together Student Support Fund. If you need assistance, please don't hesitate to apply for that. And as always, thanks for tuning in, and roll Tide.